So tell me, why did you decide to run for San Diego mayor?
You know, I have a great job as congressman, and I think I've been doing a good job. I love to help people and work in the political arena, but Washington has become very dysfunctional. You can't do very much, and if you're a member of the minority party, as I am, it's almost impossible. And I look back at my hometown where I lived for 40 years and said, you know, I haven't seen leadership in this city, in the mayor's office, for 3 decades. And this city has so much potential, so many assets, so many resources, that with leadership, I think we can really advance. And I thought to bring my style of leadership here, I could do a lot more for San Diegans than be one of 435 Congress members.
How have you seen San Diego change over the years?
Well, obviously, you know, it's got bigger, more diverse, more ethnically diverse, more politically diverse. We've had our ups and downs in the economy. We have to improve that. But some of the changes that I've been involved with are major. For example, I was the city councilman for downtown San Diego at a time when there was nothing downtown, especially in the gas lamp area. I mean, zero. Just tattoo parlors, porn shops. Navy guys would hang around. But no vitality, no urban life. And I spearheaded the drive to get the gas lamp plan through the city council. And now, today, it's the most vibrant place almost in the city. That is, the dream that we had for the gas lamp has been realized. So that's the kind of change that that we saw. You know, I think you know, I played a role in. But clearly, our environmental resources have gotten better. You know, we have these incredible universities and a school system that could be made better, but is a great resource. We have high tech has developed in a way that we had never seen before. The one drawback, or the one negative change, has been the loss of the defense industry, which provided tens of thousands of people in San Diego with skilled jobs for working people. We don't have that anymore. We have high tech and we have service jobs. We need to provide jobs for skilled working people over the vast middle range, as it were, of our economy. I think the most unrealized potential we have in our city is the port in terms of jobs and economic development, and that's what we should try to bring back, all those jobs that we lost with the defense industry.
When you say loss of the defense industry, I think most people would question that because we still have all these bases. The Navy says it wants to bring more ships here. So what kind of jobs are you talking about?
I'm talking about all of the contractual jobs that were around General Dynamics and Northrop Grumman and some of the aircraft corporations. For example, General Dynamics as a corporation, which was working on all kinds of defense systems and weapon systems. I'm not talking about the active duty troops. I'm talking about defense contracting. And they employed 60,000 people. And yet the biggest private firm we have today employs 4,000 to 5,000. So that's the scale in which we have been reduced from aircraft and missile and production to nothing. We have a lot of research here still. We have smaller firms, but nothing like produce the planes and the weapon systems that the Cold War and later needed.
What do you think about your chances, being that you're the only Democrat? I mean, San Diego is an increasingly Democratic city, but we've never, or at least not for years, had a Democratic mayor.
Yeah, not for a couple decades, actually, and maybe one in 30 years. I think that my chances as a Democrat are very good. As the only Democrat in a city which now has a plurality of Democrats, obviously. But I think people don't want to hear about the Democrat, Republican boxes and the liberal, conservative. They want solutions to the problems. They want to hear what my plans are for the pension system, which we can go into. What's my economic development plan? What's my plan for education, for the environment, for the livability of this city? That's what they want to hear. How are we going to make our city healthier for our children in many ways? How are we going to build alternative energy in San Diego? So, you know, the partisan stuff, which has made Washington so dysfunctional, I think people don't want to hear about. What are you going to do to improve the quality of life in San Diego? and they don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat. They want to hear how their family, how their children are going to have a better life in San Diego.
Speaking about the pension plan, I think a lot of people were expecting you to release a formal plan to counter the pension reform initiative we have on the June ballot. Why didn't you do that?
Well, I have one ready to go. It's a very complicated system, it turns out, and you want to make sure your numbers are right and all the projections. And we've also had some changes in terms of the pension system's assumptions and stuff, and I wanted to make sure we have the latest information, but I'm ready to go on. And the basic outlines on my plan are fairly easy to state. Number one, all of the horror stories that we hear about the pension systems of $250,000, $300,000 pensions are management employees who've had crony kinds of raises in the last year or two of their work, have phony bonuses. I could put a cap on all six-figure pensions today. The mayor could do it today. We don't need a initiative on the ballot. So let's put a cap on pensions. No more six-figure pensions. Let's make sure, let's have some labor peace and security for the next 5 years. Let's negotiate a 5-year labor agreement. That, by the way, brings down the pension city debt, the pension system debt, because you have certainty of rather than just a projection of, say, a pay raise. But most important, I would issue pension obligation bonds, which would finance the pension debt we have at a much lower interest rate, but over a longer period of time. So I can reduce the annual payment that is the thing that's really killing us. Our annual payment to pay off our pension obligations is approaching to a third of our general fund. You can't run a city if that much of your budget is going to your credit card, basically. Well, what if we brought that down several $100 million? I then can provide for the potholes that we haven't filled, or the libraries that we want to keep open, or the rec centers, or the fire stations. I could put more money in the general fund, in fact, $550 million over the next 10 years, without increasing taxes. Now, I think that's a more legitimate plan than what's the supposed reform plan on the ballot, which doesn't do a thing. It costs more because you have to put money from the old system into the new system, and that's like $100 million. And it doesn't generate any savings in and of itself. The authors claim there's a $2 billion savings or something. That comes from an assumption of zero salary increase for our employees. But the referendum itself cannot do that. That comes out of collective bargaining negotiations. So the so-called reform plan doesn't do anything. What I do, and I could do it without an initiative, the city council could do this today, is put real dollars into the general fund to deal with the real problems we have today, and do it in a very cost-effective way.
That being said, though, if this passes in June, which polls believe that it will, what will you do then? Because if you're elected mayor, you have this initiative that just passed.
Right. Well, obviously I have to work with it. By the way, there's a lot of legal challenges that will come up. It may be years before that thing is ever settled, whether, as some of the city employees claim, that they were supposed to negotiate this as opposed to putting it on the ballot. By the way, I should have said that the so-called reform initiative also is extremely unfair to employees. They are not responsible really for the mess that occurred. Wall Street is responsible, former mayors are responsible, but the employees who have given up a lot of salary increases and increased their pension payments should not have their complete pension dependent on the stock market, which is what this provision does. They don't have Social Security. So let's remember that we're throwing them under the bus with this other plan. But if it passes, not only will there be legal challenges, there's some real issues. Does it meet the requirements of the law, for example, that if you don't have Social Security, which we don't have for our city employees, there has to be a certain level of assurance for the employees. If it doesn't, it may mean you have to then give those employees Social Security, which means that it's even more expensive. And if you give some employees Social Security, do you have to give all the employees Social Security? And if you give all the employees Social Security, do you have to make up back payments going back 20, 30 years? There's so many legal questions, and it opens up so many worms that we may be in litigation on this for years. I will have to, obviously, it applies to new employees. I don't think it does anything. And as I said before, I could do the other parts of my plan without a referendum. I could put caps on the first day I'm mayor. I could negotiate a 5-year labor agreement. I could, if the council agreed with me, we could issue pension obligation bonds. So it doesn't matter really what the initiative does for new hires. I think it's unfair, but I could work what I want to do even whether that passes or not.
People have said your campaign started out a little slow. Your fundraising numbers didn't match those of your major competitors. What happened there? Was that a strategy? Were you just, biding your time? Because it's still assumed that you're going to make it into the runoff.
We're lulling everybody into complacency. No, look, I had a lot of experience, far more than my opponents in running elections. I've won 25 elections in San Diego. So we know how to raise the money. We know how to do the campaign. We know how to tactically do this. So I will have the money for this campaign. We will have the volunteers. We have dozens and dozens of volunteers now, and we will win this election. I mean, I've done it, as I said, lots of times before, and the experience that I have both in government and running campaigns is unparalleled amongst my competitors. So I don't think people should worry about whether my campaign is going to run okay.
Some people have said that one of the reasons you may be running is that you are going to lose a lot of power in Congress in the coming term. Is that a valid?
I don't know how anybody would make that. I mean, when you have seniority in Congress, you gain. And I was chairman of the Veterans Committee in Congress. I was very proud of what we had done in those 4 years in terms of the budget. I wrote the GI Bill for the 21st century. We increased incredibly medical benefits for veterans. I was part of the majority party, and I was chairman. Democrats are now in the minority, so I'm what they call the ranking or the highest Democratic member. What if the Democrats got the majority back next year? I would be chairman again. So I don't know how I would lose power if I go back to Congress. No, I wanted to, I think, provide leadership for San Diego in so many ways: jobs, the pension, environmental advances, alternative energy advances, the educational system. I think I can be more effective as the chief executive of our city as opposed to one of 435 members of Congress. But each time you're reelected to Congress, your power, whatever, goes up. I mean, I'm 60th or so in seniority now, so I would only be going up if I went back to Congress.
You spoke in La Mesa recently, and that had a lot of people wondering why. It's not part of San Diego. It wouldn't be under your jurisdiction. Why spend your time in La Mesa?
Well, it was the La Mesa Foothills, I think they call it, Democratic Club. I can take volunteers and contributions from people outside the city, but they have many members who live inside the city. Besides, I look at the mayor of San Diego as a regional leader. A regional leader not only because we participate in organizations like SANDAG, the San Diego's Association of Governments, where all the transportation, many land use decisions are made. So the city of San Diego has an important role to play in regional government and regional quality of life. And in fact, the mayor should encourage that more, because we can't solve any of these problems I talked about, whether they're economic or environmental, transportation, housing, unless we do it as a region. So I want to have a closer connection with all the cities in our county, working with county government. And I'm trying to say that by talking to some of these more regional clubs, because it's important to them who's mayor of San Diego, not just who's mayor of La Mesa or Escondido. And again, people can work in my campaign no matter where they live, or help out our campaign. So, ideas are important to spread everywhere, and not just in your little locality.
People have definitely seen your campaign as one that is closely associated with the unions, and critics have said that if you were elected, it'd be like giving the unions a bully pulpit in San Diego. What's your response to that?
You know, again, I've been on the school board of San Diego. I've been on the city council, elected twice in San Diego, deputy mayor, president of the school board, chairman of the House Veterans Committee. People know I'm an effective leader, and nobody controls me. I'm in nobody's pocket. I'm an independent person, and everybody knows that. Yes, I have the support of labor unions, and I'm proud of that, because those are the working people of our city. But nobody tells me what to do. I will work for the best interests of everybody in San Diego, and but I think the power has got to be spread out wider than it is now. This city has been run for a long time by what is sometimes called downtown special interests or downtown developers, or, you know, the power structure. And they control appointments to the various boards, the port, you know, the redevelopment agency, planning commission. It's time to expand that to other people, to working people, to neighborhoods, to ethnic groups that are not represented. I mean, it's time to break up that power structure of San Diego that has a rigid control here and open it up to all of San Diego. Again, Latinos are the biggest ethnic minority in San Diego. You don't see them represented in the way you should on boards of commission. Filipino community is very large here. Other Asian communities, East African communities, they are not represented. So to be represented by working people in this city, I take it as a badge of honor. But I'm going to represent neighborhoods and people who have been underrepresented. The fact that CCDC, the Center City Development Corporation, has been abolished, I think gives us an opportunity. Let's not focus all our resources on downtown, where you have a few private developers who are making a lot of money, and put that money into neighborhood investment, into new soccer fields for kids, or expanding a library, or helping parking, or landscaping. It's time that the people who have not controlled San Diego in the past begin to we bring their talents and diversity into city government.
Looking forward, if you get through the primary like everyone anticipates, right now the polls have it you and DeMaio. Are you thinking that would be, what kind of race would that be?
Well, I anticipate the same race no matter who I'm with, and that is a race that's a contrast which says that government has got to be efficient. Government cannot be stupid. Government cannot do everything. But government is just all of us working together to do what we can't do separately. So we can make government work here in San Diego, versus the other candidates who say government can't do anything. We're going to cut it. We're going to privatize everything. We're going to throw out our public employees. I think this city has so much to do, but if we inspire the city to contribute to our educational system, why aren't all of the corporations or our sports teams or the Navy or our museums taking care of kids after school, for example? Why aren't our environmental resources, our wonderful river parks? People don't even know we have them. There's no signage. There's no excitement. I want to bring the excitement of a city that can grow in so many ways, economically, intellectually, culturally. Nobody's talking about the binational culture that we should be exploiting, not only for economic benefit, but for artistic and cultural and artistic benefit. I'll be the only one with a real optimistic view of the future about what we can do in this city, how we can elevate our city to higher intellectual and artistic heights, how our educational system can be brought to new levels, how our jobs can be expanded. So I think it's going to be a campaign of optimism and results versus a pessimism and, we can't do anything as a city.
So do you think, because some of your opponents have said, it's time for a new era of leadership, a new generation, and you probably represent, maybe the establishment, but just someone who's been around a while and knows San Diego. Do you think that's a benefit?
Oh yeah, and as Ronald Reagan once said, I will not use the youth and inexperience of my opponents as a issue against them. Look, to run a city of this size, you need experience. I've been on the school board, I've been on city council, I've been in Congress. You can't do it as a new arrival on the scene who doesn't know all of the ways of doing government and involving the public, etc. On the other hand, I have never been accused of being part of the establishment. I represent people who've generally not been represented, bringing in new people, bringing in new ideas, bringing in new excitement. I am the one who has the new ideas. I see these younger guys running against me, and I don't see new ideas. I'm the one who has the optimism and the excitement that is talking about our city. So I don't think it's a question of age. It's a question of what ideas do you have for solving the problems that we have. And I think the voters are going to look at that more than anything. I'd like to say I have the experience, but also the new ideas, and I'm the only one really not tied to those special downtown interests. If you look at who gives the money to my opponents and who's supporting them, and they could say new generation, they could say turning the page, but they have the same old people supporting them. I mean, Pete Wilson represents a real older area, and yet he's backing the guy who says we got to turn the page. Come on, if you're going to get your ideas from the past, what is a good say that you are younger? No, I'm the only one talking about alternative energy future. I'm the only one talking about exploiting our port in new ways. I'm the only one talking about bringing our whole city to support our children. I'm the only one talking about bringing a relationship with Mexico into to a different level. So if you want to talk about the new exciting ideas, you better talk to Bob Filner.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate KPBS doing this. This election is very important. I mean, it's not only for San Diego, but as I said, the whole region, maybe the nation. And you're educating the folks about this is really important. Thank you.
Thank you.